It's her or it's me, but somewhere deep in it's cutting like a knife. So you just kill it with that one. All of a sudden you are free. You call your mom and say, hey, it's me. I just need some more mommy money. I'm gonna spend it. You're filling up my house, my face, my body, and my tongue. 'Cause I just wanna feel good. Using all that's left somewhere in your chest, on your sweetheart hit and missed. Put your feelings aside, get that Ride with me, ride with me. Put your feelings aside, give that wild side a try. Let's ride, no one does it better. Put your feelings aside, throw yourself out in the night. Let's ride, let's ride. No, I'm not that girl, no one does it better.
Today is the beginning of the end and the start of a new beginning. Time has come to refine yourself and let go of the demons in your head that have held you in captivity for so long. It's time to flip the page and prove them wrong. It's time for rebirth. Yeah, time's up to say goodbye to all the haters, doubters, and non-believers trying to bring you down. In the blink of an eye, you'll realize that there's so much more to the book than the page you were stuck on. Finally, you will feel free to live a life you love living instead of the life you think other people want you to live. Remember, you are the highest authority when it comes to knowing what you want and what you love. So stop trading yourself for the approval from others. Ladies and gentlemen, weirdos and geeks, please repeat after me. I don't give a fuck. I don't give a I don't give a fuck. 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 It's time to start doing the right thing. So trust your instinct, stop listening to others, and own your decisions. People will always tell you what to do, be and how to live. So let's create space for what matters most to you. You'll be glad you did. Now start claiming your time and your mental well-being by saying no more. No more. Say it loudly and proudly. In other words, fuck you. I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck.
Target acquired.
Eagle 1, first strike. You have permission to engage the target.
Warning: the following video contains explicit language which may be offensive to some viewers or inappropriate for children. The content within this video is intended for mature audiences only.
Welcome back, everyone. Good to see everyone. Even Glenn Lawrence's Big G there. What's up, G Spot?
Oh, I am the G spot.
Technical difficulties, ladies and gentlemen. They happen to the best of us.
Oh man,
Yeah, that was funny.
how you doing, Fred?
How you doing, man? Let me give these shout outs really quick. Guys, the first guy in chat today was Mr. Boulay, who says that he is lurking and working. And have a great show. God, Guns, and Glory was second. First loser. Second guy here. Glenn Lawrence chimed in third with where the fuck was his link? He left off the fuck part, but I insert it for clarity.
Thank you.
TD
Thank
is
you.
up in the house. Logical Spark has made it in. Emmett Eric Hart Oak is in the house as well. Good to see you, sir. Lindsay Smith, been a while since I've seen you. You must be lurking and whatever. Michelle is in the house. Good to see you. Was that a gematria reference? Not really, but I mean, you can take it that way for sure. That was hilarious. It's very funny. And we've got Midnight Newton back. What is up? It has been a while, sir. It's been great. And we have Kevin. Are we not minions? Kevin is a minion. He's the best minion. He is. Yep. And Kevin, I'm actually about to assemble all those motor parts into a working motor at some point. Did I like what? K2, keep on trucking. Did I miss something? Did I miss something, Glenn?
Oh, you missed something on my stream last night.
It was weird because I saw you were streaming, and before I could pop over and like jump on for a minute, I got like a break in where I could just like even listen to it. You were gone. It was like a pop-up stream. It was weird.
Yeah. So one, we were reading the
What
Bible.
is going on with your mic, dude?
Oh, hold on. Is it being retarded?
It sounds like literally a frog is echoing you, like ribbit. Like it's
All right, hold on.
While Glenn's doing that, Glenn, by the way, apparently Ray Glenn Frog. That's funny. What's up, 13? How are you, Glenn?
How about now? Is it better?
That's way better. Yeah, absolutely, man. Good job.
All right.
Why is my screen off?
So let me tell you what happened yesterday. Yesterday, I decided.
I'm listening. I'm going to cam down. I got to turn the screen back on. Stand by. All right.
I decided that we are going to read the Bible. All right. So we were reading the Bible, but we were not just reading like the King James version. No, everybody does that. We weren't even reading the New King James version. You know why? Because everybody does that too. We were reading the modern Bible. We were reading the Gen Z Bible last night, and the shit that it says in there, bro. Let me tell you.
I didn't know there was such a thing.
Oh my God, Grid. Yo, can I read you a passage of the Gen Z Bible, please?
Yeah, man, throw it out there.
All right. I'm gonna read you Genesis 1:1. All right. This is the very beginning. First book of the Bible, right? This is Genesis 1:1, and I repeat verbatim. Yo, in the beginning, God created like the sky and the earth. And the earth was like totally a blank slate, all dark and empty, with water everywhere. God's spirit was just chilling over the water. Then God was like, let there be light. Boom, there was light.
This is not what this is not the show we were going to have today. I'll let you go. I'll let you go for a minute. I'm trying to.
No, I'm done. I just wanted to read that to you. I thought it was hilarious.
You know how funny shit just randomly happens with technology?
Yeah.
So I'm not really sure what happened, but so the monitor behind me is actually on a completely separate computer. And for some reason, I connected it used to have a Bluetooth mouse. Now it's got a cable mouse. I didn't think there was any setup to do. Whatever is going on with that mouse, that thing is like supercharged. Like you move it an eighth of an inch and it's like all the way across the screen. Is fucking hilarious. It's so hard to do anything now, but I can't find the setting to dial it back a little. That thing is fucking hyperactive. Somebody gave that mouse crack is what's up. So
you
give
got
me
a
one
crackhead
second. My
mouse.
son just opened the door. Give me a second. Yes.
The gas is drained.
Okay, good. Do you know what time it is?
It's showtime. It's
Do you have a
showtime
watch?
at the Apollo.
You have a watch on your wrist?
Yeah,
What time does it say?
12.
Okay, what time is my show?
I don't know, man.
Noon to
Go
3.
look dapper. Go look dapper. Put your suspenders on. Put the hat on, and go read a
outside.
newspaper, boy. Go read the Wall Street Journal. Something.
Yeah, yeah, right. No, he's like, yeah. So I had him. Glenn, you're going to be familiar with this. Let him know his reasoning is sus. Right, that's what's up. I'll find the mouse settings. But it was just the craziest thing. I like moved the mouse an eighth of an inch and thing like flew across the fucking screen. I was like, what the hell? That was hilarious. So thank you, Emmett. We'll dig into that. But it's my son. You're going to sympathize with this, Glenn. So my son, he has a morning class that he has to take during the summer because my wife. And so when he gets done with that, he's always like, well, what do you want me to do? And I'm like, you know what? I want to ride the 250. And I know the gas is really old. I started it up yesterday. You know, it'll run on the choke, but it's not running normally.
Yeah.
So it's probably got shitty gas in it. So why don't you do me a favor, brother, and drain the fuel out? If you're looking for something to do, drain the fuel out of the bike. That was him coming to tell me that the fuel's drained out of the bike. So
Yeah.
I'm like, go find something else to do. It was very funny.
Yeah, God, Guns and Glory. It said to go Netflix and chill and frisk.
Yeah.
Yo,
and then
Grid, I
God
could not.
said, and then God said, smoke that good ganja, man, and be cool.
Grid, I kid you not. I took a picture and I sent it to Beth where it said "Go Netflix and chill" in the Bible, and I was dying.
That is that's weird. So Glenn, my show today, I was actually, and also, you know, you rated Flow State, and he got
I
cracked.
called him on the phone. I was like, bro, what happened? I heard you got like the hammer.
He
dropped
was on
your
here.
head.
He was on here. We were talking about it. So, but
that sucks.
It did, in fact, sucked. It is blasphemous. Blasphemous.
So you know what I'm doing tomorrow, Grid? You know what I'm doing? And for all those in the Southern California area, you guys are more than welcome to come hang out. But I'm in an axe throwing competition tomorrow.
Nice.
Yeah. Grid, if you were here, I would want you to come throw some axes, but
Yeah,
you know, you're all the way out there.
I am here and not there.
Yeah, you can't be in two places at once. You're not
That we know of.
omnipresent.
I'm not omnipresent for sure, and I am not the omniliberal. So
I don't know. Take off that hat. Let's see that hair color.
yeah, so Glenn, I sent you the Kel clip, right? You've seen that?
Oh my God. Fuck yes. Remember we played it like 8 times on my
Oh,
stream?
yeah. Here, I got.
I'll give you
No, I'm obviously not. I told you, like,
That is so good. It is so good.
Oh my God. Remember I just kept on playing it over and over and over
I
again.
know. It's so good. So one of the things we're going to talk about today, Glenn, last night, it was a great show. It really was.
How was the debate? Was it good?
Did we have a debate last night? We didn't really have a debate. Well,
I thought you guys were debating.
yeah, I mean, it was boring as fuck, for me, because Nanfan always makes it about, did Hulk Hogan die too?
Yes, he just died. He was pronounced dead this morning.
Dude, all my childhood heroes, bro.
Yeah. Did you like were you an Ozzy Osbourne fan?
I was actually, yeah.
Did
I
you
like
know I
Ozzy's
did?
music.
I
I
did
like
one
Ozzy.
of his last music videos with him.
Did you really? That's
Yeah,
awesome.
go look up the Straight to Hell music video.
I'll do that. Yeah, man, I will. So the problem with the debate last night is, first of all, it wasn't even be a debate. So all right, so originally it was supposed to be a debate, and then he had a couple of people drop out, and he's like, "Well, it's just it's just going to be like a discussion. The subject, it's not even a really debatable topic. Blah blah blah." And I was like, cool, I can have a discussion about this. And because I know a lot about water. I was in Colorado. I know a little bit about water rights. I followed the lawsuit from Colorado placed against the companies that were selling water from the Colorado River to California. Because,
Yeah.
didn't actually own the water. And then California's the action from Colorado against the state of California for basically diverting water. I mean, I followed all that stuff when it was going down, and so I was like, yeah, we can have a really good conversation about this. I wasn't like pumped about it, but it was like, this is gonna be a good show. And then I noticed that Nonfon was going to be on. I'm like, what the fuck is Nonfon doing on here? Right, like all
He's
he
gonna
can do
say
is debate
somehow it's
tariffs. Yeah, all he
he's
can do
gonna
is
say it's
debate
a
tariffs.
tariff. They're tariffing the water.
Yeah,
It's
he did. He
Trump's fault.
exactly said that. He was like, yeah, and Scott, I knew Scott was going to make it about, obviously he's a libertarian, so in his mind, it's all about private companies, right? Like you privatize the water, and this company, and then competition evens everything out, and blah blah blah. And I understood that. I understood his point of view, and I understood the, I didn't know that Kel was gonna. I didn't know what position Kel was going to take. I didn't realize that she was going to go full libtard on us and start talking about weird random shit. The only thing that really wasn't mentioned was vegan tacos, and was waiting for that.
I would have found her and I would cut off her internet if she says mention
right?
vegan
Yeah,
tacos.
no vegan tacos, and fuck,
Do
man,
people not know? Do
I
people
got to
not
answer
know what
this.
fucking time it is? All right, I guess it's now the Glenn Lawrence Show. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Glenn Lawrence Show. We are going to talk about axe throwing, Bible verses in the Gen Z era, and how.
All right, so my bad. All right,
Never
so
mind.
so the whole so I was actually expecting a good discussion with Scott and I, and Gibbs and maybe Kel. I didn't know Nonfon was going. When I found out Nonfon, I was like, what the fuck's he going to do there, right? And so immediately out of the gate, he starts talking. He actually, it started out that he like mostly agreed with us, but he felt like that there should be some like regulation, which I agreed. I mean, I said the same thing, but then he went off on like weird tariff schedules and blah, all this nonsense, which, and he couldn't understand and then he started making it about, him and Scott got into it about socialism and that's not really socialism, but it is socialism, and whatever. But I
The
thought it had
states
the potential to be a
tariffing.
really great debate. I mean, I remember a discussion about water rights and who, and I made all my points that I needed to make, but I got bored really quick. Like it just was not it wasn't a conversation that was conducive to anything. You missed out though, because after that, Nonfon came over here. And we were talking about guns and all kinds of trucks, and we were arguing about fuel mileage in trucks and shit like that. Why Tundras suck and basically anything is better, and yet people still buy overpriced Tundras because what the fuck ever reason nobody
Grit,
knows.
you have a lot of patience because I have the hardest time talking to a man that doesn't sound like his balls dropped. Okay.
Well, we kind of
Non-Fawn
abused him a little bit last night. I'm not gonna lie. The thing is that
doesn't sound like he hit through puberty yet. He has not gone through puberty.
It was funny because Scott's like, well, how just say you're gonna say you're in the apartment that you're in now. Your rent, whatever, and Nonfon's like, I don't rent. and so Scott's like, oh, okay, so you own that. You're a little young for that, but okay. And he's like, No, I live with my parents. And Scott was like, wait, what? It was so good. It was so good. And I got to clip that. And then Non-Vine came over here and he's like, and we were about to leave, right? Like I was talking to Flow State, Caucasian Sasquatch, Cleaner 409 was up, Agrillipus was up, and we were really just bullshitting about guns and shit that we liked, and all that kind of stuff, right? And trucks. We were talking about how well, actually, no, the trucks came during Non-Fine. That's actually why he left. And so Non-Fine came in, and he wanted to make it about terror. He's like, "What do you think about Trump's big beautiful bill?" And I fucked him up because I said I was a single issue voter on that, or the only thing I really care about is that the HPA Act, the HPA went through, and I could have given shit less. And he's like, "We don't care about all these tax cuts and tax spending and all this." I'm like, nah. Literally every fucking bill does the same thing. Like, you can't point to me a time in history, in recent history, where they've actually done something like mandated a balanced budget or mandated reduced spending across the board or any of that shit that would actually like pique my interest. It's all the same bullshit because it's out of the president's hands. Congress has to agree on
You
it.
know what? Michelle made a mandate. She posted it. Well, right,
Yeah,
Michelle?
But at any rate, so it was an interesting. So then we got into trucks. Because I mentioned the fact that Japan, a company in Japan, has just closed a $15 million deal here to build something. I don't know whether they're building trucks or cars or washing machines or fucking, I don't know what the fuck. And Flow State firmly believes that Americans don't want manufacturing jobs, that we are happy to pay other countries to do that. I disagree, obviously, because I know a lot of people who do those jobs. And and so that devolved into a discussion about trucks. And I said, in my service shop, I made a shit ton of money off of Toyota Tundras and Toyota Corollas and Toyota Camrys, and everybody keeps buying those pieces of shit because everybody, every year JD Power ranks them the best in the industry and all this other stuff. But literally, a Toyota Tundra will go through 2 sets of brakes, or maybe 3 before my Silverado goes through a set of brakes, right? It will destroy a transmission towing the same shit that my Silverado tows every fucking day. And so it's a steel company. I did see that. I did. You're right. It is a steel company. Thank you. I appreciate that. We were supposed to get a
Mr. with the clutch.
Mr. is that dude is research capital #1. But so I just made the point that Tundras get worse fuel mileage. They have far more service, and they're just shitty. I hate Toyotas in general, right? They're just shitty cars, and of course,
That's why you go Dodge, everybody.
Yeah, no, you don't. Friends don't let friends drive Dodge unless they're getting paid, because fucking Dodge sponsors anybody. Like every fucking car, every cheap budget ass movie has Dodges in it because Dodge will
Yo, Dodge, sponsor me, yo.
Yeah, right. That's what's up, right? And
let me get a Raptor. I'm cool with
it. yeah. Ford's not giving you a fucking Raptor. That's a guarantee. Although I think they have a surplus of Raptors now. But anyway, so we're talking and bullshitting, and Non-Fine got pissy and left because we wouldn't engage with him on tariffs and the budget bullshit. It was really fucking hilarious, man.
How nasally was his voice getting?
I mean, it's about normal. So it was about.
It wasn't nasalier than more nasal.
I couldn't tell the difference. I don't know. Dodge sued Ford for trying to pay their employees more. That's the gayest thing I've ever heard in my life. And I know, and I know some fucking flaming ass queens.
That's
pay no
funny.
more than market rate. Fuck Dodge. So Dodge is great. No one says Ford no more. Yeah, that's true. Actually, I've been really disappointed with the latest realm of F-150s personally.
Thank you. They're ass.
They kind of are. They used to be one of my favorite trucks for just work trucks, But I think it's actually worth the extra money to kick up to a Chevy half ton with the V6 in it. It's just
Chevy's been the one that's been fucking like old faithful these days, just
yeah.
tried
But
and
see,
true.
the problem is Chevy was always the class act, but they're always fucking expensive. Like I don't care. You go to Ford, and I know that a lot of people don't do this, but I go to Ford and I put in a request for bid for like 5 pickups, and I go to Dodge, do the same thing. Nissan, do the same thing. Nissan will fucking fail. Go to Chevy and do the same thing. Chevy's going to come back. I promise you, they're going to be more per unit than everybody else. 100% across the board. Those fuckers don't sell cheap. They just don't.
Well, they know their value.
Yeah, right. Yeah, and they're
I
like,
mean, it's like
and
why
they
should
just
I lower my
fucking
value
break.
if I know?
Yeah,
Why should they lower their value? They're like,
yeah.
look, you're going to be over here anyways. Go ahead, get your fucking Ford F-150. It'll last you about 3 years, and then you'll be over here.
Yeah.
Don't worry. You'll be begging us for the tip, and we'll give it to you.
Yeah, I mean that's that's kind of that's kind of thing, and so and I remember when GMCs used to be the cheap Chevy, and now GMCs are at least
Yeah.
15 to 20% more level for
Do you
level
remember
versus
that?
a Chevrolet. Isn't that
Do you
crazy?
remember that?
I
That
do
GMC
remember that. I
was
remember
like
like generic made
GMC
Chevrolet.
was like GMC was
Generic
like the
made Chevrolet,
knockoff
baby.
Chevy. They were the
Yeah.
knockoff Chevy. They were like the generic Chevy.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They were owned by, they were the work truck brand. And now they're the luxury brand.
Yeah.
They're the luxury arm. GMC. If you got a GMC, you got that Denali. They don't even have a base version of the GMC Suburban equivalent, the Tahoe. They don't even have a generic. They don't have a base model for that. They're all like SLT and up.
Yeah, no, I like the Tahoe.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm just telling you, man, it's crazy because I remember when GMC used to be like the cheap one. That's what you bought. You bought it. I can't afford Chevrolet, baby. But now Chevrolet's the bargain brand in that line.
And they're still the fucking more expensive.
Yeah. I think GMC. So I think they were going to kill Cadillac for a while, and then they as just to try something they did the Cadillac trucks. You remember the Cadillac trucks?
Oh my God, those are horrible.
Yeah, they're
Fucking
pretty bad.
ugliest
And so basically,
looking thing.
the only thing left in the Cadillac truck line is the Escalade, right? And so GMC just stepped up.
I'm not gonna lie, I like an
Chevy, is that
Escalade.
on the market as a truck? Chevrolet, Chevrolet makes trucks. That's what they do.
Silverado.
Yeah, the Chevy Silverado, the Suburban, which you know how much a Suburban is now, bro? Brand new
Like
Suburban,
almost 200,000.
You can get it almost 200 grand. They're literally,
Yeah.
I think the cheapest one that I saw recently was $115,000.
Yeah, like it's fucking ridiculous. And then after taxes, bro, you're coming up like close to like 150K.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's they're out there.
You had
But man,
99 Denali,
I remember like getting high, smoking weed in the Chevy Suburban, and that thing was like,
yeah.
it took so forever to get from the back seat to the front. It just that, or I was just really high off of weed. It was good chronic back then. I was like, this is taking so long to get up to the front seat.
I really but yeah, so we were I have a special loathing for Toyota trucks and vehicles, and the reason is because I've never worked on one where the customer didn't try and tell me I was fucking lying to them. I would say, well, your brakes are shot, front axle's about to fall out of the truck, and you need this and this and this. No, all right, it's Toyota, man. Go 1,000,000 miles. What are you talking about? You're crazy. Like, brother, if this thing goes another 50 miles, I'll be fucking surprised. like, you need some work, brother.
You're like, if you go another 50 miles, you're gonna be calling me for a tow.
That's right. That's what I'm saying. I get it. Are we not minions? I didn't know you got her a new car. But but yeah, you better be calling Rock Auto. That's for sure. Now I do, like now they're bargain basement cars. You can't fucking kill them. I promise you that when we've all converted to land speeders that, run off of anti-gravity fucking shit, there will still be 1985 Toyota Corollas rolling around. I'm just telling you right now.
Fuck yeah, you're gonna be like,
those fucking things are crazy.
like when you're in your hovercraft, that Toyota Corolla. You know what? So yesterday I was at Huntington Beach, right?
Yeah.
They're getting ready for the U.S. Open, and I'll be there all next week filming the U.S. Open.
I got
It's
a
gonna be
super
pretty
chat.
fun.
Stand by 1 second. So $4.99 comes in from Nate. I appreciate that, sir. I really do. Peep my follow-up comments in the chat. I did see that. He just learned about it recently that Dodge sued Ford so they couldn't pay their employees more. Going to be selling my Dodge on principle. I don't blame you, man. I mean, Dodge is a weird ass company, and I have a real problem with Dodge too. But and part of my problem with Dodge is, when I spent a metric ass load of money to be able to run. Well, we built a Dodge Challenger, right? SRT, before there was any of the special versions, and we built it for racing. It was a really cool car. I was trying really hard to run a 3-car team, and Dodge was literally just like the worst company to deal with. And so, they literally, like, SRT was the racing arm of Dodge, and so the guy who's in charge of SRT, I could never really get a hold of him. But there was another guy, Gary, that he ran. He was the interface with most of the teams, and he literally called the series organizer wanting to know how much money I had, and if I could run an actual, like, top level team. And my series, the series director was like, yeah, he's been here a long time. He knows what he's doing. He's got the money. If he doesn't have it, he'll get it. He understands what's up. And Gary, and so after that, Gary and we had a strained relationship. And so I ended up taking my Dodge Challenger. I sent the Dodge Challenger to PRI as a kind of a token to Dodge, to say, like, hey, brother, I don't, no hard feelings, right? We'll put the car on display. I was on the main floor. I got pictures of it. I posted them. I'll bring one up right now. So we were at PRI, and my man Gary, he wasn't avoiding me, but he wasn't really, like, it wasn't like he wasn't acting like he wanted to be a part of the program, if you get my meaning, right? He, in my opinion, that, and what I learned later after PRI, was that Gary, for whatever stupid ass fucking reason, thought that I was just not really serious about it, and he was going to go with another team that had already a team called Racers Edge or some shit like that had actually already fucking failed. So this is my car at PRI on main floor, right where everybody can fucking see it, right next to the fucking IndyCar guys.
It's badass.
Yeah. It was like, I paid 80 grand for that car, 90 grand or whatever it was. The guys that built it probably had 180, 200,000 in it. It's super awesome. It was a rad car, and we had 2 more like it being built when this one was there. So So Dodge got all of that free. Then, by the way, Dodge paid $10,000 for the wrap on that car. That's a wrap. The car is actually white, but Dodge wanted to use it for their company picnic, and I was nice enough to loan them my fucking car for their company fucking picnic. They kept it for like 6 weeks, 8 weeks, and but you know they basically you know they got all this advertising off of me while I was there, right? And hang on, I got a super chat. We'll get back to that. $5 comes in from Mr. Boulay in the Department of Numismatics. Proud owner of a 2005 Tacoma SR5 double cab, 280K plus miles. Replaced alternator twice. Worst issue yet. Not looking at a Tundra. Way too expensive. Yeah, the Tundras are really overpriced, and I don't think you could. I mean, I don't know. Maybe not. I have 160, I think, on my 2014 Silverado, and I had a leaking air conditioning condenser replaced under recall. They had a mount that would go bad, and it would crack the condenser as you drove down the road. And I put fluids in it, and I've done brakes once, and that's it. Not anything else. So haven't had anything off of it. I put a battery in it. I had to put a battery in it. That was it. So anyway, but thank you again, Mr. Boulay. I really appreciate that. So Dodge. So we sent the car from PRI, which was in Orlando that year, up to a warehouse that a friend of ours owned that was 15 minutes from Daytona. And so we're like, I tell Gary, I'm like, look, I've got one of the cars there. We're getting ready for the 24, and I have Brian Johnson. You might know him because he sings with this rock group called AC/DC.
Yeah, familiar with the name.
Yeah, you might be familiar. So Brian Johnson had actually, if he actually drove the car, he was going to give me the licensing rights for all the artwork, pictures, all the promotional materials that we would use during the event, so that I can make money off of that, right? And there were some other things that we were going to do, but I thought that was really cool. And so we had Brian Johnson, we had Gary Savage, we had some other guys that were going to drive, JD Mobley, a couple other guys, all ready to go. We're ready to go. So we're about to go to the Roar Before the Shore. That's the week-long test session before qualifying. And Dodge hasn't sent me a fucking dime. And I'm like,
wait, what? Wait, what?
They hadn't sent me a dime. And I'm like, why? And I told Gary, I'm like, brother, I'm telling you right now, I am not going to even book airline tickets until I have money in the account. I said, I've been hosed so many times. I understand how this game is played. So if you want me there, if you want my car there, then and let me grab this. Entertain them for a second.
All right, time to entertain. You heard cars, gear shifting, double clutching, Fast and the Furious style. Well, let's let Grid come back, because he's going to be double clutching, short shifting, and NOS. Yeah.
The telemarketers get me, man. They use numbers that are really close to people I'm doing business with, and they get me. Anyway, so sorry, I let Glenn barely get started again. So so we're all ready to go. Dodge doesn't send me a check, so we don't go. Now they're like, "What the fuck? You didn't go?" I'm like, "I told you I wasn't going to go. You have to pay me. This is how this works. This is business. We don't have any budget. we don't have we can't really do anything. I'm like, okay. The rate, Daytona's getting closer and closer. We're getting all set for Glenn will be back. Don't worry. We're getting closer and closer, and we're getting ready to get set up to do this. And still don't have any money. Gary's telling me all the time, man, we want to be a part of this. It's good. You're gonna love it. We're gonna do really great things. And the whole time I'm like, nope, not until I get paid. So I had again, and the car is literally like 15 minutes from the track. We could have had it there in an hour. Hook it. Literally, it was on a trailer, all the parts, everything ready to go. Just roll it over. So went there. I went to Daytona. I got some cool pictures. Yeah, give me a minute, Grumple Stillskin. We'll see if Glenn comes back. And then I got to roll into the actual topic of the day. I'm just going to finish out the Dodge story and why I just hate Dodge. Specifically, I hate SRT. Which I think they've changed the name now. So what I ended up finding out because I was there is they were backing Racer's Edge. They'd actually paid Racer's Edge to be there. They weren't paying me. They were counting on me to pay my own way, but they were paying these other guys, and that pissed me off. So at that point, I basically decided that I would never run that car, and then we sold it. So, and that's my Dodge story, and I hate Dodge. And then I had a pickup truck. There was a good deal on pickup trucks a few years later. So that was like in 2012, probably, that's probably 2012, 2013, maybe 2012, I think. And I decided at that point we were going to end up selling the cars, not doing anything with Dodge ever. But a lot right after that, they had a really good deal on trucks. And I did have one of their trucks that melted down in an intersection. So that was awesome. All right. Well, Glenn, if you can hear me, come back when you get a chance. I'm going to launch into today, my what I was actually going to talk about today, and we'll get into it. So guys, couple of things. First of all, I obviously we've got a lot of people. We have a lot of really famous people that are aging and they're passing on. We had Ozzy, the guy who played Theo or whatever his name was on the Cosby Show. He passed away. Then we had apparently Hulk Hogan has passed away. So it's been a week. So keep it in mind. We all age, and you can't escape it. You just absolutely can't get away from it. So, and there's just a lot of interesting things going on in the world. One thing I found out is my kid's school has ended their football team. The reason that they're ending the football team is because, believe it or not, lack of interest. Kids today just don't want to play football. Lack of interest is the reason that they're not. They killed the football team this year. They had 10. They had 10. Basically, they had 10 seniors graduate, and that was basically the whole team. And then they had 7. When they figured out that those people were graduating, they had 7 people transfer out, and now they have no one that wants to play football. Now they have a full roster for soccer. They have a full roster for baseball, tennis, golf, cross country, skeet or sporting clays. They have full rosters on every other sport except football. Although I think baseball is kind of dying. It's hard to get kids out of doors now. It's going to be interesting to see how the future of sports. I had not really been aware of this. I don't pay a lot of attention it's very interesting to me. Maybe it's something we're going to go. No one wants to play sports that women lie about. Could be. And there's some other stuff we'll talk about. But mostly I want to talk today about something that I get asked about a lot, and I have a lot of people who kind of push back, give me a lot of pushback on this stuff. And part of this is going to be, I've talked about this stuff before, but I probably haven't gone this in depth. So the subject is very simple, and that is that for a lot of people throughout history have been entrepreneurs of one sort or the other. Every farmer is an entrepreneur. Every contractor, everyone who works as an independent, they're all a type of entrepreneur. So the problem is a lot of people nowadays, they don't know how to start a business. They don't know how to buy a business. And even once they do, they don't necessarily have while they may be a great carpenter, they might be an excellent manager, but being a business owner takes some expertise, takes some skill, takes some learning. So we're going to talk about that. First of all, today we're going to talk about, and I'm going to do kind of a series on this. Probably this time next week we'll follow up. But today what we're going to talk about is how you buy a business, how you not start a business, but how you buy one. And we're going to cover this from what types of businesses, and I'm going to define this as a business that you have about 150,000 SDE. So, and this is a business that you should be able to walk into and make roughly $150,000 a year. Now, you may not make all of it because you've still got to pay income taxes. You've still got to, but it's basically like walking into a $150,000 a year job. And rather than spend your time in college or on online courses or any of this stuff, this is most of what I'm going to talk about is assuming that you have a basic education and you have some skill level in a field that you're interested in, right? So the first thing is, let's talk about what is SDE. That is seller discretionary earnings, and that is defined. I wrote this. I had to write this down. Is the net profit plus the owner's compensation. So if you have $150,000 SDE and you're paying yourself $50,000, that means your net profit is $100,000. Okay. And that's roughly how you want to, that's roughly how you want to think about this. It could be the other way. It could be that you're compensating yourself $75,000 and you're putting the other $75,000 in as profit. But that's basically the easiest way to think about it. It also includes non-recurring expenses. If you have to buy a new pickup truck, that's not recurring. You just buy it. Plus your interest, okay? Plus any depreciation, plus amortization that you're filing in your taxes, okay? So these are seller discretionary earnings. And when you want to have about $150,000 in SDE, your typical valuation range is going to be 2 to 3 times that. So you're going to be looking for a business with a price of somewhere between $300,000 and $450,000, $500,000. Okay, so let's just set this as ground rule, right? Or kind of a baseline. You know what I'm saying? Okay. What I look for is different, and so I actually had to think about this for a little while. Because the way I talk about it a lot of times is from my point of view. So I had to kind of shift my perspective on this. So a lot of things I am referring to notes that I've made because of this, because I'm, I will fall into the trap of just reciting what I would do and not necessarily what maybe someone else should do. All right, so wait, what the? I just stand by. Why do I have music? There we go. There it is. I must have something open that should not be open. There it is. Got it. I found it. All right. God, guns, and glory. You're fine, man. You're fine. I had music in my ear that shouldn't have been there. That's what was up. So give me a second. I'll fix this. All right. So my bad. Had nothing to do with anybody. It was just me. So again, just to be clear, the way I think of things is different than the way most people should think of things. And I think that really most people have an issue trying to figure out what the reality is of this. Okay. You don't have to be quiet. God, guns, and glory. All right. So, but anyway, you're looking for you're going to spend somewhere between $300,000 and $500,000 for this business. Probably not going to be in cash. You're probably not going to do that in cash. So, common business types in this, you're looking at like commercial window cleaning or maintenance operations, janitorial services, that kind of thing. You're looking at residential HVAC. Now, these will be a smaller HVAC company. Most HVAC companies right now are for sale. A lot of them are really large, but you would be looking at one that's kind of, maybe got 2 or 3 guys that, that do it, and maybe 2 or 3 trucks, something like that. But they have contracts. And the same thing goes for pest control, landscaping. I love landscaping, by the way, irrigation, hardscaping, other contractors, roofing, fencing, that kind of thing, bathroom tile companies, kitchens and baths. So that's good. And those are kind of, those are what we could consider B2C, business to customer. So for B2B, which is where I like to operate a lot, you're looking at office supply or print shops, that kind of specialize or deal with corporate clients. Small logistics companies, trucking, like K2. K2 would be, that would be something that he would do, which would be business to business, and for the most part. It's hard for most people, but consulting agencies, a lot of times you have companies that hire people as consultants because the consultants themselves can't drum up business. They're not business people. They're consultants. And so they work for somebody else. And then obviously management firms, construction projects, renovations, that kind of thing. So those B2B deals, so B2C, a lot of people like to play in B2C. A lot of people like to play in B2B, and that's not bad. If you want to go into consumer and retail, auto repair, obviously I'm a big fan of that. Transmission shops are good. Any kind of specialty retailer, pool cleaning supplies, pool maintenance, outdoor equipment, grills and shit. But I'm not a salesman, so I generally don't get into that. And then, which I always consider very risky, but a lot of people are very good at, coffee shops, sandwich chains, or just sandwich shops, lunch places, lunch and breakfast, that kind of thing. And then obviously, and these are currently for sale. I looked, there are e-commerce brands out there that have $1 million+ in sales every year that are selling for somewhere between $300,000 and $400,000. So that's probably good. Now your earnings on those digital digital sales is, or brand digital branding and selling, your earnings on that can be a little wonky, and I would have to do a lot of due diligence before I got into it. And then, that's and there's some businesses that seem like a great idea. Amazon fulfillment, or what do they call them? FBA, fulfillment based associate, or something like that. Something associate fulfillment, whatever. Shopify stores, not for me. Maybe for you. I don't know. You have to look at that. And there's a couple other. There's some online retail or businesses that make sense. I don't like them, but I have to throw them in because some people do, and some people can't do anything but online. So I looked up some listings. I made a list here. Right now, currently, there's an auto repair shop in Charlotte, North Carolina. They have an SDE of about $155,000. Their asking price is $365,000. The owner is retiring, and they have a steady clientele. So you could buy that and even run that remotely because the owner is already in the process of retiring, and they have a good management staff in place. So there's something like that. There's an e-commerce pet brand that they have an SDE, claimed SDE of $150,000. I don't know that that's true. They're asking $410,000. That seems out of bounds for me. I personally would not. I would have to look at that very long and hard before I would do that deal. Obviously, that's remote. It is an Amazon plus Shopify hybrid model, which, again, I'm not familiar with. I wouldn't do it myself, but other people that are online, people like Emmett maybe would be one of somebody that would do that. Commercial landscaping, I'm all about landscaping. I've made a lot of money investing in landscaping businesses. There's one that's with a $145,000 SDE. That means they've got a lot of clients. And they're asking $395,000. I think that's overpriced, but we would have to take a look and see what it is. That's in Austin, Texas. Comes with the fleet. So they've got trucks, mowers, trailers, all of that. And it comes with a contract. This is very important. When you're buying something, you want to make sure that whatever's making that business work, that you get part of it. If you don't, you're screwed. And then there's an HVAC service company in Tampa Bay, Florida. They have an SDE of $160,000. It seems very low. They have a $450,000 asking price, which includes the trucks and the staff that remains in place. So this is another one that can be run remotely. So that's pretty good. And then you have a specialty bakery cafe. Again, I looked all over the place. I personally wouldn't buy this. I don't like food service, and I don't like restaurants for me. So we're looking at $140,000 in SDE, which seems about normal for that business. $335,000 asking, which is probably okay. It's in Denver, Colorado. Includes all of the fixtures, furniture, and equipment. And they have a trained team in place. Again, another potentially something that could be run remotely or expanded, depending on how good you are at that kind of thing. Personally, I would not do that one, but that's okay. So let's talk about your path to purchase. Well, how are you going to run a business in Texas without Mexican? Actually, I think I don't think I've ever hired Mexicans to in any of the landscape businesses that I've been a part of. So, the first thing you're going to do if you're going to attempt to buy a business is you're going to want to identify where you're going to get that business. Now, I haunt Biz Buy Sell like every fucking day. I also get targeted leads from business brokers throughout the country that may have businesses that aren't listed on Biz Buy Sell. And so they will send me leads every month, I get some every day. And it's like, hey, I've got this for you. Would you be interested? But they only do that because they know who I am. And, usually it's a business that probably, it's a scratch and dent sort of thing, right? So it's not the best business, and they need somebody that's going to turn it around. And I get those, and you can too. You just have to put a little effort into it. All right, so BizQuest is another one. Empire Flippers, I've never used them. They just came up in my business search. Acquire.com and LoopNet. Acquire.com I've not used. LoopNet I have used. LoopNet is fine. I don't know about Empire Flippers or Acquire.com, but LoopNet I've used. So you're going to filter it, all of the different things that you do. What your SDE range, your amount of owner involvement, if you're going to have to be remote, or if you're going to be on site, if you're going to make this business part of your life, and what kind of transition support. We'll talk about that in a few minutes. Transition support is very important, and we'll talk more about that. And then you're going to reach out to the broker. Okay. When you talk about when you're trying to talk to people about buying their business, it is an it's more or less an adversarial condition. No, Mr. I don't need a business license in Tennessee if I have a business in Texas, because I don't do business here. So I don't. So that's how that is. But if you own one in Texas and in Tennessee, you have to have business license in both places. Does that make sense? Anyway. All right. So your first initial contact with a seller's agent is usually going to be a broker. The first thing they're going to do is they're going to try and vet you a little bit. They're going to ask you, have you bought a business before? What do you know? Do you have any money? Do you have a path to purchase? And but more than likely, they may not even talk to you until you have filled out an NDA, agreeing to not disclose any of the specific information that they're about to send you. And then they're going to send you a CIM. And once you get that information packet, you go through it. You start just looking at everything, and you look at the financials, you look at how long the business has been there. You look you're going to look at everything. I look at everything, right? Like I look at how many employees they've had, what's their turnover, and I ask all of them. A lot of times they're not really. Yes, Hulk Hogan did die, Abe Dinkus. A lot of times they're really not super clear, forthcoming about what is what, but if you know the right questions to ask, you'll figure it out. So again, contact the broker or the seller. Usually it's a broker. And you sign the non-disclosure agreement. They'll send you the CIM, which is the financials and the data on the business, location, what the address, all of that. So then you got to do a preliminary review. Yes, Hulk Hogan died. Yes, 71 years old. Yeah, absolutely. Uncle Fatty is correct. Depending on the hail season or tornado path, roofing companies are always a decent way to conglomerate. There's a lot of fake ones, though, so you want to differentiate yourself between the guys who just go and they get up, they convince people to file with their insurance company, they get the check, and then they disappear into the night. But there's a remediation is a big business. I wish I understood more of it, but anytime that there's and there's a lot of government money for that, so a lot of times you don't even you have to deal with the clients. You're dealing with the government agency that pays you to go do things. So there is Fatty's right. That's a good one. So once you've signed your NDA, you're going to review all the documents that they send you, and there's going to be, and you need to make sure that if they don't send it to you, that you request the documents that you need to see, and those are going to be like profit and loss statements, tax returns, an asset list. You need to know how many vehicles they own, what, and if they're paid for, if they're not paid for. A lot of times you have to ask for this because it's not that they're trying to hide it, but if they send you over a list and there's 8 vehicles on there and every single one of them has a note against it and none of them are owned by the company, you need to understand that before you get too far into the deal. And they're probably not trying to jerk you around. They just may not know. And then you're going to set up a seller interview. Okay. I like to do that via Zoom the first time. Everybody has their way of doing things. Personally, I like to do Zoom. And based on all of that information, I make a decision on whether or not that fits my operational and financial goals. And if I feel like I can afford it, if I can get the financing in place to move forward with the deal, because there's a bunch of different ways to finance a business. And if you don't understand it, you can screw yourself. But also if you're absolutely super optimistic, you could get all the way to the end and find out that you're not going to be able to afford the business that you're trying to buy. Once you have all of that in place, right? You feel like you've got the money, you've seen their financials, you feel like it's a good company, you understand what the business is, and you understand what it owns and what it doesn't own, and you want to go ahead. All right. So I've decided I'm going to buy this business. I'm working with a body shop right now. I've got a deal in place for one body shop. I'm looking at another one right now. The one that I'm looking at buying, the newer one, it's a great deal for me. It's about, I think it's 1.3 million, something like that. And it's great. It's going to be a score for sure. A lot of room to move. They own the property, a lot of stuff. So then I send out a letter of intent, right? So I'm going to have a seller's meeting. Matter of fact, let me pull this up because I've got it right here. Find it. I was wrong. Stand by. Right. All right. So it's $1,360,000 is what the asking price of this business is. The SDE on this business is $340,000. It's a little low for me. There's some reasons that's acceptable. The gross revenue is $1.6 million, and that can be and that's verified. The business has been around since 1995. The owners want to retire. They finally got the business to where it basically runs itself. They've been traveling more, and now they're deciding to. They've decided that, hey, you know what? We want to spend our life traveling, and we're going to sell the business. So it's near me. That's first one. I understand the entire business. I've done many of these businesses, and I have been successful with 90% of them. And they've got technicians. They've got all of the staffing is in really good shape, and it's really going to be absolutely a good deal for me. I'm pretty sure I can pay for it. I have talked to my banker, but I'm in a good enough spot now to file a letter of intent. So I'm gonna file a letter of intent. My letter of intent is going to be this is actually. I'll file the letter of intent after we do our meeting next week. So I'm going to have a Zoom call with them this coming week. And once we get through that, we'll do a site visit. And then once I've done the site visit, we're going to start talking about money. Now, I'll file a letter of intent at that point. Now, I'm going to give my offer. Okay. So, and I'll base my offer on what their financials show, what my site inspection shows, and what I think the market's going to do going forward. And I always have a plan to justify why I'm offering what I'm offering. Okay. Because I can't just say, yeah, you're asking 1.3. I want to pay you 1 million. I only want to pay you $1 million because that's all I got. That's bad. If they say they want 1.36 and I say, well, I want to pay you 1.2 because that extra, that little bit of extra money, that your revenue for the past 3 years doesn't justify that extra money, and I don't feel justified or I don't feel good about paying you that, and this is where I need to be on it, and we go back and forth. So you will outline your offer price and how you're going to structure it. If it's going to be all cash, if it's going to be cash plus financing, if there's going to be a seller note, are you buying the real estate? So you're going to offer, the offer price, how the deal is going to work. So let's just say in this specific deal, if I buy this business for 1.36, we're probably going to want a $300,000 seller note. We're going to put up $250,000 in cash, more than likely. And we'll finance out the rest through an SBA, and we'll probably buy the real estate. We'll wrap the real estate up in it as well. And that's a nice, tight little package. We'll get into why we do the seller note in a minute, but just understand that right out of the gate, I'm going to say that I'm going to do $360,000. And if we do asking, $360,000 is a seller note. probably $250,000 in cash, and then we'll do the remainder as an SBA loan, more than likely. And there's reasons for all of that. We'll get into that later, but that would be the way I would structure it, right? So then we're going to talk about, then we'll add in contingencies. Contingencies are things like financing approval, due diligence. If their accounting is wrong, if you go through there and you look and their numbers don't add up, or they're saying that, they've got 8 vehicles in perfect condition, and you go do a site visit, and then what they actually have is a pile of junk cars back there, then you have to modify your offer, or you walk away from the deal completely. And this is the contingencies that you build in. Then you give a closing timeline, and usually your letter of intent is usually good for about 30 days before you enter into the contract phase. And then you have and that's your exclusivity period, which is 30 to 60 days. And your closing timeline will also include things like, we have to have the seller financing worked out by X day, or, we're going to do our seller financing, then we're going to get SBA approval, then we're going to put the cash in place. So that's how that kind of works out. And I'm burning through this like really, really fast. So if you have if you have questions about this, we'll be covering this more. I'm just kind of burning through this so that you get the idea of what's going on. Buying a business is actually not that complicated, and it's not even that much work, but you have to do it right. You just start at one end of the chain and you go to the end, and you don't deviate. The people that lose money are the people that fall in love with the business and they ignore warning signs, right? Like, and I'll give you an example of that in a minute, of deals that I have busted or we're about to bust because they look good, they're not right. And once and you just can't get wrapped up and just doing whatever, right? So that's not how you do that. All right, so due diligence. I will always want to see at least 3 years of financials, and I'd really like to see 5. If they can give me 5 years, I want 5. But I have to minimum, because the bank's going to ask me for it, the minimum of 3 years financials. The banker is 100% going to ask me for 3 years of financials. I want all their tax returns. I want their bank statements. I want to see the VIN numbers on all the vehicles that they own. I want to see. I need a copy of the lease of the building. I need all their licenses and legal standing. I've got to have copies of that. I have to have all of their customer list and their vendor contacts. And if there are contracts in place, I need to understand when those contracts expire and what their renewal process is. Okay, these are very important details. The worst possible thing is somebody selling a business knowing full well that they have a contract that expires in 8 months and it's not going to be renewed because that customer's shutting down or closing or whatever. So you have to do this due diligence part of it, and this is a lot of work. And you may have to call some people. You may have to do a lot of things. You need employee details. I want to understand how many employees. I don't need their names, but I need employee 1 is this guy, and he does this job, and he's been with the company this long, and all of that. And, I have to have the employee details, 100%. And then, again, the asset verification. I need to visit the site and physically see the vehicles, understand the condition they're in, understand, that they're actual operating vehicles, or, the equipment actually exists, and it's not just a pile of junk pushed in a corner, right? So that's it. I know this seems obvious, but it really isn't. Once I have all of that, I will look through the financials. I send it to a CPA. I absolutely, I don't, even though I trust myself to understand things, I pay professionals. I send all of their agreements and contracts. I send that to a lawyer to look over those agreements and contracts, right? A business attorney. I have a CPA that goes through every dollar and verifies that their books are tight. I have uncovered, where books were not tight. And there are other things like I was looking at a company down in Atlanta to buy. It's a very good company, probably a good deal. And there was like a blip in earnings, and it was directly related to some legal problems the owner had, where he first of all wasn't a part of the company for that length of time, or it wasn't at least day to day, and they paid $50,000 in attorney fees. And we have to ask why. What was that? Were you sued personally and using company money to pay for it? Were you sued professionally and had to use company money to pay for it, and you had to take 3 or 4 or 5, 6 months off away from the company because of something? You absolutely have to understand what is going on with the company, and you do that by hiring professionals. Hire an industry. If you don't understand the industry, if you haven't spent 30 years in it, hire an industry professional to say, yeah, you know what, this trend of building homes is going to be good for the next 10 years. So yeah, buy this company. Or that same guy could say, yeah, you know what, we've had 10 years of consistent building. We're about to be in a big retraction, and it may be 5 years before you guys break even again if you buy this company right now. And that kind of ops analysis is invaluable. You have to do it. It's so important. We'll talk more about that as well. And then just really quickly, let's talk about finance, how we're going to pay for this fucking thing, right? So let's just say that everything's passed. Let's say that you've had an attorney has given you green light, contracts are tight, everything's good. Let's say that the CPA you hired, the independent CPA, not your normal guy, your CPA comes back and says, books are tight, everything's good, golden. These guys are legit. And your business advisor comes back, says, this thing's set for it's going to the moon. Like that's a great business. You should buy it. Everything checks out. All the numbers check out. The car, all the vehicles are what they say. Everything's what they say. All right. Now you got to pay for it. So you can do an SBA loan. An SBA loan gets you up to 90% financing. It is the most common loan. Usually a 10-year term, almost always. The down payment on your side, the down payment is 10 to 20% depending on a variety of things. And the interest is generally prime plus 2.75%. So if prime today is 6%, you would pay 8.25% or 8.75%. So that's good. That's not bad. So let's talk about the 90% financing. So you can use a seller note if the business qualifies for SBA, and there's some things that's got to do there, right? You can do a seller note that takes care of the 10% down payment. And now what I do, and you always want to do a seller note, by the way, the reason you always want to do a seller note, let's say we've got a $300,000 business and you're going to go in and you're going to put 10% down. Okay. That's, 30 grand. And that's not a ton of money, but it's not insignificant either. So that it qualifies for SBA. The financials are tight. Everything's great. You're ready to go. Do you pull money out of your pocket? I wouldn't. What I would do is I would have the seller note take that 10% out of the loan. So now you're only financing. So, all right. So I would do at least a 10, maybe 15% seller note. So let's say it's another 30 grand out. So now we're not financing 300,000. We're financing 270. So now we're at $27,000 cash at close. So that helps, right? Right out of the gate. The more important thing about that seller note, and I don't normally do 10% seller note. I want it to hurt if they fuck me over. So I normally like on a $300,000 deal, I would ask for at least $50,000 in seller financing. And here's why. Number one is I need the seller to not sell me a piece of crap and disappear in the wind. I want them to have skin in the game. The way that I structure seller financing is they don't get paid until well, generally, let me back up 1 minute. Generally, if you do seller financing on an SBA loan, the SBA has to be a percentage of SBA has to be paid first. So it could be 2 years, it could be 5 years, it could be 6 years, right? Before you even start paying your seller financing, right? So I try hard to be able to get the seller financing to kick in at somewhere between the 3 and 5 year mark. And it's not always possible, but that's the way I want to do it. And what it does is it keeps the seller honest and it keeps them involved so that when the ink isn't even dry before they're out the door and they never show back up and I have to learn how to run their business, right? I want the seller to be there to explain to me how to run the business, to introduce me to the customers, and to set me up for success. So that's an important thing. Now you can, and the pros of obviously the pros of doing an SBA loan, which I tend to do a lot of SBA loans. You get a low down payment. It's a 10-year loan. The downside, a lot of documentation. There is a personal guarantee required, so you're on the hook for a significant portion of the money that you borrow. So if I borrow $1 million, I'm on the hook for $1 million. So a lot of people can't sleep at night with that. Then you can go to seller financing, and then there's a version of this that's kind of both. But so sellers financing will generally carry somewhere between 10 to 50% of the note, as I said. In terms 5 to 7 years, somewhere between 6 and 8% interest currently, and it's often combined with the SBA to reduce risk. And a lot of times, the SBA bankers will require a seller note. They literally will write it into the contract that the seller note has to be there. And it's kind of and then you have what we call the partner investor model. And this is where you go into, and generally this is used a lot of times when people are retiring or the business is just doing okay and they're probably getting tired of it and they want to go do something else or whatever. And what will end up happening is you'll go in and you'll say, hey, look, I want to buy your business. I will pay you out of the business earnings. I don't want to pay. I'm not giving you any cash up front, but I'll take over the business. I'm going to run it. You're welcome to check in anytime. The lawyers draw up the contracts, and there's no generally if there's any down payment, it's really small, and you basically become partners until you get to a specific metric, usually somewhere around 30-40% that you've paid on the business, or the business has paid for itself, and at that point, it becomes just a pretty standard seller note, and that's harder to do in today's market, but it certainly does still happen. And then, of course, once you have financing sorted out, then you go to your purchase agreement and closing. This is mostly where you pay an attorney. You're paying an attorney to draft all those documents, make sure all the T's are crossed, I's are dotted, all of that. And Lauren B says a seller convinced her brother a letter of intent meant he could get sued if he went on vacation while learning about the business. No, I would have. No, that's not how that works. When you do your purchase agreement, you need a non-compete. You don't want the guy who just sold you the business 2 years from now opening up another business and competing with you, or 6 months from now. So you want a non-compete in. I usually make my non-compete at least 10 years. And if they won't sign that, then I know, I don't even want to deal with them. We do, most of the time I do what's called an asset purchase agreement. I'm not buying stock in the company. I'm not, I'm basically I'm just, basically, I'm just buying all the pieces of the company in their client list, right? Stock acquisitions, it's a tough way to go. You can get screwed pretty hardcore. I don't do it. You want, obviously, we've already talked a little bit about the transition. Some people call it a transition training period. That's anywhere from 30 to 90 days normally, but I have in place a 6-month transition period for one deal that I've got going on right now. And then you're going to talk about escrow and working capital requirements. And basically, since you're buying a successful business, once you buy that business, you may not actually see any money for, depending on how long, what their terms are, especially if you're dealing with somebody like me that is, I'm doing on this one company, we're doing it as a asset purchase, so the seller retains the earnings up until the point the contract is signed. So what we did there is we built in that when we sign the deal, we are able to collect $300,000 in their earnings prior to sale to use as working capital, and there's a couple of different ways to structure that. We can talk about that. That's no problem. We can talk about that another time. And you always use attorneys and or escrow firms. Just, you got to be careful. There's so many people go to buy a business and just get hosed. Handshake agreements are for chumps. There's no such thing as a handshake agreement in business when you're buying a business. Now, it can be a handshake understanding that is later backed by is later backed by a written agreement. But I never, ever do handshake agreements. That's just the way it is. Uncle Fatty says, ever had an owner want to stay on with a seat on the board? No, I have not. I've not bought a company that large. The biggest companies that I've bought so far have had about 20 employees. So there's not really a board. And we haven't put one in place. I do have right now, I have a guy who bought a business a couple of years ago, paint body shop. He is incapable of running it. He's a great body guy. He understands all the mechanical and paint aspects of it, but he absolutely sucks at running the business. He cannot make money. He's bleeding funds. He's actually taken a business that was operating in the black by a good chunk, and they're literally like so close to being in the red every single month. And so we're going to buy that, turn it around. Now, I've actually got an agreement, not a handshake agreement, written in place that, assuming that we do purchase the business, which we intend to, he is going to stay on for at least 3 years. And we got some negotiating to do on salary and compensation and how that increases and all of that. But he's such a part of the business that we want him to stay. Another business that I'm looking at right now, they have a guy there who does their estimating, which is how they bid all of their jobs, and he is literally the key person. He is so important to the company that they have key man insurance on him, and because if he were to be in a hospital, they could lose $100,000 easy, maybe more, maybe $1 million. So that's kind of where that's at. And then once you do all of that, your time, timelines vary. So I'm not going to go into that right now. For resources, obviously you want to use like SBA. You can see samples of all kinds of letter of intents and other things on the Biz Buy Sell resource library. Again, I like using Biz Buy Sell. That's one of my favorite. I haunt Biz Buy Sell like every single day. And anyway, so I think that's a good start to what we're talking about. Wait, the seller had your brother working there without pay. This just gets better and better, Lauren. It really does. Like, that's crazy. That is nuts. Manospherical balls. Is that Anson Knowles? That feels like an Anson Knowles screen name. Yeah, so the estimator in this specific company, Uncle Fatty, the estimator in this particular company, so contractors send in a request for bid. Once they get that request for bid, the estimator then writes up the whole bid. So he is training somebody, but he's the guy. He is the guy. Him and the owner are the guys that can do that well, and it's not particularly hard. It's not particularly complicated, but you need experience. And when that is, and we have Keyman insurance on that guy. Like if something happens to that guy, like we're going to lose a bunch of money. So we actually have insurance on that guy. So that's it. So yeah. All right. So I wasn't able to really watch the chat too much for questions. I did try. If you got some questions. And Anson's so real, only a teabag would know for sure. That's Anson. That's for sure, Anson. So I'll get Flow State over here to teabag you there. So I'm actually down quite a bit. So, yeah. But yeah, I mean, buying a business, I mean, so look at it this way. The average time it takes me to do a deal from start to finish is anywhere from 3 to 6 months. And some of them will take a year. During that time, assuming that you're actually ready to buy a business and you can get the deal done and you put some savings aside or you have some money coming in or whatever, and you've got it and you set it up, right? And you do your research, and you understand the business. In a year's time, you could go from working for somebody else to owning a business that gives you money every single month. You have to work there. You have to put some sweat equity in, but then you can buy another business and you can open another location or, open another branch in another town. And this is what America honestly has always been about. Most of America has grown up as entrepreneurs. I find it really fucking stupid that people these days say that America has become a service a service nation, right? Or service provider, whatever. I find that insulting. We were never, I mean, we've always been entrepreneurial. We've always been self-reliant. And sure, we had an industrial revolution. We had people leave their entrepreneurial roots and go into the workforce and become wage slaves. But not everybody has to do that, and certainly not in today's society. One of my favorite small businesses to invest in is landscape. It's just a great. It's a really, really great industry that most places really need. Even they landscapers make money in Arizona. Hardscapers, which are basically landscapers, make tons of money in Colorado, right? So there's always it's just, it's never like, well, in my area, there's nothing. There's always something, right? And this goes back to kids mowing grass, right? When I was a youngster, I had an old ass lawnmower that I put together from parts, and I would go around and mow yards. And I kid you not, I was one of the kids that had the beat up ass lawnmower with a gallon milk jug of gasoline walking down the street, asking people if they wanted their yard mowed, go up to every single door on every single house on every single block in my neighborhood. Need your yard mowed? That's, so I actually absolutely do not accept that we're not an entrepreneurial society, and we need to be more, right? Uncle Fatty says he was in on Eagleview back in the day for satellite Google Maps for roofing estimates. Now with drones, it's $1 billion a year market. That's true. But you have to have a license in a lot of locations to be able to do that, which isn't hard to get. 0.01% of that is worth targeting. Absolutely, 100%. And so if I don't, I really don't have, I mean, I guess it's just really important for most people to really understand that that there's nothing easy, right? Like it's all hard. It's all, nobody gets anything for free. This is what it is. So, what's up, Silvar Ogre? Good to see you, man. Good to see you. Yeah. Anyway, so that's the business end of the show today. That I kind of wanted to get that out of the way. 3 years out on digging and blasting of foundations and terraced natural rock retaining walls. I was stealing my dad's truck at 14 years old and using his mower to make that cheddar. That's right. That's true. And look, I mean, guys, this is, you just think about it. You can either go and work for someone and have every moment of every day. You maybe live in fear of getting fired. You live in fear of of losing your job or not getting that raise or whatever. Or you go to work, you buy a business, and you become the employer. You become the boss that you always said you wanted to be or that you should have. So, and by the way, the Vibe is correct. There are a lot of businesses for sale right now. A lot of them. Tons of it. The only things that are easy in life are Lionel Richie, Sunday mornings, and Yo Mama. Yo Mama's so easy. Her last name is Off. Easy Off. Midnight Newton question. Grid. My lease is up in my old apartment, and I'm living with my parents until I find a new place. I found an immediate place, $1,400 a month, indoor parking, and 20-minute commute to work, or I'll wait for the rest. Wait a month to pay $1,000 outdoor parking and an hour to work. I got to be honest, man. Midnight Newton, if I could stay at home, if I were a single lad and I could realistically live at home, pay a little bit of money, and help my parents out, and not have a lease, not have rental contracts or anything like that. I gotta be honest, I would probably stay at home. I mean, I'm not even gonna lie, man. I can't. I never could, man. I mean, I'm going to be honest with you. I never could. I never could deal with rent if I had somewhere I could stay for free or almost free. Right. K2's right. Stay at home, build up some wealth, get some money, get your money up, and, make shit happen. Living with your parents isn't an option, unfortunately. All right. Well, so if living with your parents is not an option, I guess the second question becomes, well, actually, there's no question. Look, if you can afford it, if you actually can afford it, I would say that, let me look at your options again. I would say that if you can afford it, a shorter route, a shorter trip to work is always worth it. The time you spend in your commute can be better spent doing something else. So, Cleaner 409 is correct. It's all price negotiation from what he's seen, 100%. Yeah, the less commuting, less time in the car, more time actually getting work done, more time being able to find other things. Make $114,000 a year, $60,000 in debt because of your Tesla and credit card use. Ouch. So $60K in debt. What's your interest on that? I mean, I'm going to tell you right now, if it were me, 9%. All right, yeah, all right. So here's the deal. If it were me, it's not me, it's you, but if it were me, I would stay with my parents as long as I possibly could, and I would pay down all of that debt as fast as I could. 100%. Because, and I mean, I would pay it off so fast. 9% is good though. 9%. I thought you were going to say 24%, but yeah, I would pay down that debt so you don't have to pay a bunch of interest on it. And then I would, once you're free and clear of that, then I would look at moving out if that's possible. If that's not possible, then brother, I don't know. I mean, so 114,000, is that pre or post tax? Is that like take home? Is that what you put in your bank every month? You know, Uncle Fatty, you're not wrong. You're not wrong about that. My understanding, my recollection is that Midnight Newton had a bad battery in his Tesla that was not covered by insurance, and he ended up having to pay for the replacement out of his pocket. So that's an important determining factor, I think. So I would pay that debt off as fast as I possibly could. 108 after tax, yeah. All right, so if you're doing 108, 1,400 a month, what are you spending a month? I think he had a rental car or something. Kevin, I think he had like a rental car. He had I remember talking to him about this. There was, and obviously there was some, luxury spend, or not luxury, but maybe unnecessary spending. I remember having him up on the show. We talked about this once before, about how he was torn. He was having to rent cars to be able to do his job. Yeah, BIY. That's it's an interesting. I just recently met somebody that does Uber or something, and does better than I thought he would. Okay, so you've got the 2000. So if you're doing 108 a year, let's call that 9,000 a month. You're spending, looks like 15, 35. It looks like you're spending about $4,100 a month. So you could do, yeah, I don't know what the $600 a month phone bill is. I'm going to say that he probably had to buy he's had broken phones or some shit. But you get $4,100 in expenses before you. Nope, you've got $4,700 a month in bills. You're probably bringing in about $9,000 a month. So I would be paying on your credit card. I'd be throwing $3,000-$4,000 a month down on it as and eating ramen, to be honest, because that would be that'd be really cool. I would also yeah. I don't understand. Kevin's like, I would live in one car and drive the other until them shits was paid off. Yeah. 108,000 a year. You're probably making right at nine. You're probably bringing home about $9,000. Yeah, but how's $600 a month, man? That's crazy. That's crazy. Anyway, Midnight, I would say that. I mean, I just got to be honest with you, man. I would, if you're spending that much on, if you're spending that much on it. Let me look at this again. So you're at $4,700 before you pay rent. If you had $1,400 to it, basically, dude, you can pay an extra $2,000 a month comfortably. You have 10 lines. Oh, never mind. I'm sorry. Dude, it's going to take you so long to get out of that 60,000 in debt. No, not bankruptcy. He can't claim bankruptcy. He makes too much money. But I mean, it's just going to take a long time to get out of that 60,000 in debt. Yeah, I'm really not trying to give you a hard time either, Midnight. I understand. I understand it, man. I've known people in massive debt, so I get it. 60K is a lot of debt, though. So it's 4,700 plus 1,400. That's basically $6,000. So you have $3,000 left over a month. Let's say you can pay. So I mean, in theory, you could be out of debt in 3 years. if you didn't incur any more serious expenses and you paid $2,000 a month on your $60K in debt in 30 months, assuming, you know, obviously you got to add 9% interest in there, but in 30 months, you'd have $60,000 paid in, but at 9% interest, you know, you're looking at that $6,000 a year. So yeah, call it right at right at 3 years, man, to get out of 60,000 in debt, paying $2,000 extra a month. That's a house, dude. That's a house payment. Yeah, give me a minute. Let me think. Midnight New Time. Remind me where you're at in the world. I think you're in like Seattle or some shit. Remind me. I think he's in Seattle. I think. I got something on my hands. I got some cleaner or something on my hands, and it's making my eyes water. I think he's in Seattle, which is terrible, but I mean, I'm sure it makes good money for him. Yeah, the first battery was damaged in an accident of some kind, and they did, and the insurance for whatever didn't replace it. I remember part of this. You're in Wisconsin, okay, all right. Well, let's look at it this way, right? So let's say that you, what city are you in? That's okay, man. Oh, that's awesome, TD. I didn't know they'd do that. So if I do, I'm trying to think of how to get you out of this. So I would not rent. Give me a minute. I mean, I can get you out of this. If you really want the answer, I can get you out of this. You're in Milwaukee. All right. Let me help you out. So what I would do, Midnight Newton, is I would not rent an apartment. I would buy a house. I would buy a house and I'd buy a house and I would try and buy work with a realtor and tell them what you're trying to do. Basically, you're trying to buy somewhere that you can buy at a reasonable price today, put a few dollars into it, but in 6 months to a year is going to appraise for at least $100,000 more. And then what you're going to do is you're going to do a HELOC and pay off your credit cards or your $60,000 and 9% debt. You can do a HELOC and get that down to 6% if you're lucky through your HELOC. And then you're going to pay your mortgage payment on time every time with the extra couple of $100 that HELOC offers you. And every time you have extra money, you pay into that HELOC so you can get that down. And that gets you out of your 9% debt. Then you're going to pay off all your credit cards. Everything's going to be paid off. The only payment you're going to have is your mortgage. And when you when you go to sell the house, you're going to hope that the house is increased in value at least $80,000. But that gets you out of the mess that you're in. So. Yeah, I'm not a paid advisor, not liable, but I can get you out of this mess. I don't see any other way out other than 4 years of payments. I mean, and you're going to pay $1,400 a month in rent. Right. Yeah. Cleaner. Yeah. Home equity line of credit. Do a HELOC. Right. Yeah. Exactly. Exactly, Agrillipus. He can pay it off faster if he's in a home. He's not paying rent. If he decides to move, he can sell the house or rent it, and then somebody else can be paying his debt off. The way he's going now, if he doesn't get on something pretty quick, it's literally gonna suck. The HELOC's how your equity screwed you. That's true. Emmett, it's always good to have you around, my man. Always. We're winding down anyway. We got another hour to go. We're gonna be doing some good stuff. You'll be riffing Steelman today. Awesome. I understand you can't stay at home midnight. You can buy a home. Buy a home. Now, I got you at midnight. No, you need to buy a house. What neighborhood do you need to be in midnight? I'm going to find you a house to buy. I actually got some good deals. I need to look in Milwaukee, brother. Shit. Did he really? Steelman's weird, dude. Brookfield. All right, I don't. Brookfield. Dude, there's a shit ton of homes for sale that are cheap. What the fuck? This is what I call a target-rich environment. I know, dude. There's a shit ton of houses here for cheap. I'm like, I don't know, man. I mean, I might have found something here. You know what I'm saying? Bro, you need to buy a house. Go buy a house. I'm just telling you. Go buy a house right now. You need to start looking. Go find a realtor. Go buy a house. Go buy this house. 2 bedrooms, 1 bath, 600 square feet. It's basically the same as your apartment. You pay the same $1,400 a month for it that you will in your apartment, except you own it. But it may not be it'll be the right one for you to save some money, but it may not be the one to refinance later. Let me see if I can do better for you. Somebody blowing me up. What's up with that? Oh, there we are. Playing with fire. Grace is on playing with fire. That's weird. Uncle Fatty, investors are dumping a lot of properties all over the country because they're not able to sell them right now for what they think they're worth. I mean, it's really bad. Yeah. Seriously, Newton, I'm telling you what. I'm not trying to tell you what to do here, right? I'm just telling you, solve your problem, right? You got 60,000 in debt. You're about to put $1,400 a month into rent somewhere. I got to be honest, man. You're better off if you're just going to keep your same lifestyle. Find you a house. Get on Zillow. Get on all these other websites. Find a house. Go buy it. In 6 months, 2 years, 6 months to a year, you get a HELOC, roll that 60K or 50 8K that you'll be owing, and then you'll absolutely be in good shape. You will literally walk out of this you'll come out of this a lot better off than you are. Guaranteed. And it'll be cool. I mean, this is just simple problem solving to me. I mean, I like a lot of these. I like this one. I'm not buying this one. That'd make a great rental. I'd buy that. I'd buy that right there, 100%. 319. It's old, built in 1919, which is kind of little. It's slightly beyond my limit, but 3-bed, 2-bath has been updated. It's got a lot of really nice wood in it. I like that. It's got some room to move. I can add central heat and air. It's got gas heat, which is fine, but just telling you, man, that'd be a great little rental. I bet I could buy it cheaper. How many days it's been on? How many days on market? Where's my days on market? $8 hours. It's only been on Zillow 8 hours. That's funny. Tankless water heaters. I love tankless water heaters. I love those things. They're awesome. I like them better than regular ones, but new homes aren't really meant to have them, so they're not. Yeah, I would, if I were building, I'd do tankless water heaters right now in every bathroom. Yeah, I actually really love the tankless water heaters. I think that the area that he's looking in, or the area that he asked me to look in, it's pretty cool. Tankless are slightly more efficient. Yeah, that Fatty's right. They're pretty much they are on demand, and it's almost endless flow. It's almost endless hot water with a tankless, and it's just it just works really good. Or at least all the ones I have tried. I can't say that all of them work that good, but all the ones I have tried. P Fletch 83. I've been looking for that myself. I've been looking at doing I've got some property where I want to build 2-bedroom houses on. So I think that's a plan. Midnight, are you still with us, buddy? I hadn't heard. Oh, there you are. Wisconsin is a gem, a mix between white and blue collar. That's right, dude. I'm telling you. I got to be honest, brother. Midnight, buy a house, dude. Stop looking at apartments. Get some money together. You need about. I would try and get about 3. I try to get about 5%, 10% down. I think you could get it done with that in today's market. Because they're not an investment property. You'll qualify for first-time buyer. You probably have reasonable credit. You've got verifiable income. I don't see where you can't. I think you could even get a reasonably good interest rate. And if you can't, you can refinance in a couple of years and do it. if you can, when they run the numbers, make them do a 30 and a 15 year, and yeah, 32,000 in how many months? I missed what that is. I think there was miscommunication somewhere. Well, so 10%. I don't know. You hate property taxes. How much time should it take to make 32,000? In what? So I don't know that. I have to look into the Wisconsin market, but let me just tell you, in where you're looking, that the houses seem to be, moving pretty good and not staying on the market too long. Let me line this out for you again. So I think that you need to come up with somewhere between 3 and 5%. So if you have 3 and 5% down, I think you can get the deal done because you'll have first time buyer, right? So if you're looking at a $320,000 house, right, and you need 5% of that, so that's what is that? That's I don't know, what is that, like just under 20 grand, maybe under 20, maybe far under 20 grand, 16,000. Thank you. So if you have 16, that you need 16,000 down, plus some closing costs. So figure that you're going to need 20 grand. Go buy a house and, live at home as long as you can, and if you have to get an apartment, I don't know, man, the apartment thing is crazy. I would try and find a roommate. Yeah, Eastern Kentucky is still pretty good. I own a lot of property in Ohio right now, which I don't live anywhere near there, but I own a lot of property in Ohio. You pay $12,000 for property taxes? That's insane. I paid $1,500 in property taxes this year. You did the roommate thing. It doesn't work unless it's, you want to do but you're really looking at, I mean, brother, midnight. If it takes you 6 months to save up your down payment, find a house, get the deal done, I can do anything for 6 months, man. I can do almost anything for 6 months. Like, I could eat ramen 3 times a week for 6 months. I could eat ramen every day of a week for 6 months if I had to. Yeah, Michelle, I'm not kidding. I paid this year. I mean, now I paid on every house I own, I paid about $1,500. But yeah. Uncle Fatty throwing down some facts. Go get in the remediation business. Facts. Your house been in a family for 70 years. You paid more in taxes than you could sell it for. That's true, unfortunately. I mean, so the difference is in Tennessee, I pay $1,500 a year in property taxes. It might be $1,800 this year because I think our property value went up by a lot. But in California, I paid like $1,200 a month or $1,300, something like that, a month for property taxes. Fly in, fly out mining in Australia. All expenses paid, 140,000 starting. For how long? Is that a 6-month contract or a year contract? Yeah, if you're near New York, you're screwed. Midnight New Time, Brother Midnight, is this full time? But is it for a year contract, 6-month contract? What is that? Because I have a friend of mine who did the same thing. He went to Africa as a welder to set up a gold mine in Africa, and it was a 6-month. It was a 6-month contract, and he made 6 figures. He made 120 grand, I think, for that 6 month. So while we're sitting here talking about midnight, let me tell you about a real world example of what I was talking about with the when I talk about buying these businesses and financial stuff and why it's important. So I have one of my shooting buddies. He has been a surveyor, and he thought that he was going to be blue collar all his life, and that's what he looked forward to. That's, he didn't really aspire to much else. And then, of course, he gets married. He has 3 kids, all girls. I don't know who he pissed off, but he obviously pissed off somebody because, he has 3 girls. That's very expensive. And he shoots 3-gun with us, and he does some other stuff. So he's a really cool dude. And so we were talking over the weekend, and he's working 18 hours a day, basically. He does his normal job, and he works in a garage, and he does landscaping. The garage that he works in is a buddy of his who had the talent, and that guy's brother had the money, and so they went into as partners together. One guy's the money, one guy's the talent. They opened a shop. Now they're opening a second shop. This has been about 2 years from start to now. And in the meantime, they've also started a landscaping business. They're cutting, I think, about 15 yards a month. So about one every couple of days, plus some fill in. And that's starting to really pay off. And so they're looking for their next project to do. And these guys are, they're building it. Now I generally not like to build businesses anymore. I'm too old for that. These guys are younger than me, but you can do it. Not everybody can do it. Most people are meant to be entrepreneurial. They're meant to build businesses, or at least take over something and manage it and grow it and make it better. So, these are just real world examples of what is actually out there, regardless of what the economy does. Everybody says, the economy fucks the working man. Well, maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. But people are still going to need their grass mowed. People are still going to need their cars fixed. People are still going to need glass windows put in their houses. These things don't stop because the economy burps. So always keep that in mind. And as Fatty is saying, the remediation business is absolutely killing it right now, to be honest. And a lot of times that's government money that you just get paid. That's right, Nate. You just got to fuck it right back. Just tell it to go fuck itself. All right. So Midnight Newton, I would seriously look into buying a house. It's the right time for you to do that. Hey, old Joe, how are you? I know you wanted to talk to me. If you want to come up, I've got some time. I'm actually kind of winding down a little bit. I know, Mr. Mister, it's terrible you can't even get plastic bags anymore. You got to take your backpack with you, or hold it in your hands, or buy another cheap-ass canvas bag. So that take home. I'm going to drop it over in the Discord. Give me 1 minute to find you, old Joe. I don't think I have DM'd with you, so I've got to find you. There we go. Oh, that's not it. I got to get the right link. Whoops. Yeah, stay in the apartment where it's safe, according to my buddy Anson Knowles, who has manospherical balls. That's perfect. That's perfect. Yeah, sometimes you got to ride the lightning, Ghost 1978. Sometimes you just got to ride the lightning a little bit and work two jobs basically. I remember when the first time I tried to start a shop, I was working for a shop and then I was trying to manage a shop and or build a shop, open up my own side business, and it failed miserably because I just couldn't get the time, couldn't get the hours right, and then of course I did open my own shop later, and it worked out pretty well for me. So while we're waiting on old Joe, midnight new time, buddy, I really do think that you're I do think that it's one of those things, midnight, where you can, if you have an opportunity to make money and not spend anything for a year, like if you were to take a contract in Australia and go work that job for a year, it may be worth it, man. It might be. I don't know that it would be, but it might be. And here we have old Joe. How are you, sir? Why did it not? There
I'm
we go.
good. Can you hear me okay, sir?
I can hear you just fine. How's your world today?
My world is, we've had nice weather up here. So as you can probably hear, I'm from Canada and we haven't had rain for about a month and a half. So I'm actually enjoying it because typically we get a lot of rain.
Yeah, we've had a lot of rain this year.
So hey, I wanted to come up and briefly talk about something that you may want to put to bed. There's a couple
Sure.
individuals involved, but it's less about the individuals and more about the concept.
Okay.
You have spoken a little bit about your experiences with Are We Not Men? And
Yeah.
so if I talk briefly around that piece, be as specific as I can, I
Yeah.
have observed a number of times in this panelverse and on the internet where the phenomenon you refer to, now I don't know what happened, but I can tell you that what you described, this pressure to not be critical of larger, more popular streams, along with threats of we will either damage your channel, it's not going to turn out well for you if you speak poorly of certain individuals. I've seen that play out a number of times, and I've seen, streamers who we would recognize who have acquiesced to that in order to save access to either clout or money. And I think it's a lot more damaging and a lot more prevalent than we would acknowledge. So what I believe is when we see a circumstance, when somebody calls that out, on the spot, and then stands up against it, more of us should publicly speak out in favor of that. And so that's what I'm doing now, Grit. That's why I'm here.
Yeah, I mean, I was actually willing to keep it quiet about what happened between Are We Not Men and myself and Glenn Lawrence and some others. I was perfectly willing to just have it be between us. It's only when, and I'm assuming, as you alluded to, We Are Not Men was felt emboldened and to come into my chat and start trouble. And I was over on Sarah's channel one night and he was in the chat causing trouble. And actually Naomi kicked him out like several times and he thought I was doing it. And I was not. I was up on the stage. I wasn't really paying attention. But it is a fact that a lot of times, especially men, will just not say anything. Right? Whereas other people like myself, I normally would ignore it. But in this case, I really just didn't feel like it, and really, honestly, if it had gone down a slightly different way, for example, like I don't know which part of the incident you're talking about. But when he initially asked me for money, I kind of I gave it to him, and then because I felt bad for him, and then I thought maybe he really needed it and was just embarrassed to ask for help. We've all seen that, I think most of us have. And then when and then later when he asked for it again, I just ignored him. He didn't really say anything, and I was going to let it go. But then when I was live talking with Jake Varr, and then of course Andrew came up, and he's in my chat talking about how I shouldn't platform certain people, and he meant, and what he meant was I should not platform Imperious, right? Who at the time, Imperious, when he came up on my channel, you may remember this, he behaved himself. He didn't spaz out. If I said, "Hey man, you're going too far," he would acquiesce and back down. And up until that point, he was kind of behaving himself. And I asked Andrew live about it, and it drove Are We Not Men insane that I called him out on it, and more importantly, that I asked Andrew publicly about it while we were live. So I thought that those things are very interesting to me, and I'm not really sure how you stand on those. I think I understand it, but I don't want to put words in your mouth by any stretch. But certainly, I can see where there's a lot of room for especially smaller content creators to get kind of bullied by people who, in theory at least, know more, right? Are more experienced or things like that. And I've never really felt bullied by a larger channel or a larger creator. Matter of fact, I think every creator, especially when I was new, every creator that was larger than me, when I would go on their show, they were like super happy to have me. And, they were always I always thought they were very respectful. And I can only say something that Andrew told me in the beginning when I started this. And that was that these large creators, and now I guess I'm in some small way, I'm a larger creator. I don't feel like it. My numbers don't really reflect it, but I've been told that, I'm larger. I don't think I am, but whatever. But that that larger creators or more prolific creators, they need a constant source of new people. They need more to have content. You have to have people on there to have content about. And when you just are insulting the same 5 people all the time, people eventually get tired of it and move on. So you need to have a pretty steady stream of people flowing through the channel. And that was, that stuck with me this whole time. So I'm not really sure where you are on all of that. And I'm gonna say one more thing, and that is I didn't realize until it was kind of all coming to a head that Are We Not Men were, for lack of a better term, bullying women on the channel by timing them out randomly and basically just kind of being a prick, to the point that they didn't feel welcome and they didn't feel comfortable being in the channel. And of course, being the host, they thought it was my policy to do this, right? And when it was the furthest thing from the truth. It was never my policy. And so all of that, when you take individual pieces, I don't think it's that important, right? But when you take it as a whole, it draws a very disturbing picture. Would you agree?
Yes, I do agree. And I want to be clear, because I don't know the scenario between yourself and Are We Not Men, and I don't know him either. So I don't know what took place, and I'll have to just stand pat on that. What I do know is the phenomenon that you've described, and exactly the way you've described it is quite common. And this interactive entertainment that we have now, this panelverse where you can have an entertainer like yourself or Andrew or others, Rob Knorr, where you actually have the opportunity to call in and interact with these people. This is rare, and in my opinion, a great form of entertainment. However, if it isn't handled correctly, and it really changes, and I've seen those channels where threats, doxing, trying to harm people in real
Mhm.
life, some similar to the threats that you mentioned, this isn't going to work out well for you. What if you were in a scenario where you depended on this income and somebody
Mhm.
started strong arming you,
Right.
saying that,
And obviously I was not in that situation, right? Like I was in the situation where I could just tell anyone to go fuck themselves, and I just don't care.
I think that a lot of this stuff is not, you rarely have a person that will stand up and say, here's what I experienced. Like when you described your scenario, and as I continue to say, I'm not familiar with it. However, there's enough elements in there that I've seen time and time and time again. When you mention the content creators, this is a really good point you make. To me, it doesn't seem to be the content creators that generate this culture of aggression. It seems to be a penumbra, hangers on around them. There seem to be certain key individuals that gain status by their association with these people,
Mhm.
and then have some idea of what, like you've mentioned, of what these interactions look like, of who should be
Mhm.
interacting with who, of who it's appropriate to platform, and almost
Right.
utilize this form of power in a way that I don't agree with myself.
Right, I agree. And look, and Imperius is in the chat now, so now I'm officially not talking behind his back. But so I had no problem with Imperius, right? Like, he again up until that point, when he came on my channel, he was always really respectful. If I said, "Hey, man, you're getting out of hand," he would calm, he would dial it back, and all of that. It's all good. And I couldn't see any reason why anyone would say you can't have it. And this is literally what I was told, Ojo. I was told by Are We Not Men, if I continue to platform people like Imperius was specifically named, and there were some others. If I continue to platform those people, I would face consequences from the Crucible. And and the implication there was that, and actually it may have actually been said, or typed out loud. It may have actually been, because I can't remember whether it was implied or directly said, that I would be thrown out of the Crucible. I would no longer be welcome there. And again, at the time, and I told Andrew this, there was no reason for me not to have Imperius come up on my show. He hadn't violated TOS. He had not spurged out any more than anybody else spurgs out. There was no reason for me not to do it. I understand that Imperius, and I watched Imperius over at CT's, and he would go nuts. He would come over here, he'd be fine. So it wasn't like I wasn't aware of the what could happen. And there were others too. It wasn't just Imperius. There was like a group of people that, for whatever reason, Are We Not Men had a axe to grind, right? And so I actually asked Andrew live. I said, Andrew, I've been told, and Imperius was on stage with us at the time. And I said, I've been told that if I platform certain people like Imperius, that I would be blacklisted by the Crucible, that I would be thrown out, that, that there would be consequences. And Andrew said, well, first of all, he runs a Crucible, and certainly there would be no consequences because that's not the way he operates. And he said that, nobody would, he would not, he would never presume to tell a grown ass man who he could or could not platform on the channel. Now, obviously, if I have certain people up that might, some people on a Crucible may not come here. The Thorpes are a great example, right? Like there's a massive negative aura around the Thorpes. And when I have the Thorpes on, I can watch people leave my chat because they don't want to interact with the Thorpes. Now, I think that's petty and kind of bullshit, but hey, man, everybody has you're allowed to vote with your feet, old Joe. Anybody does. And so Andrew and I we were doing this live. And Are We Not Men was absolutely raging in the DMs. I didn't know what I was doing. There were going to be hell to pay, blah, 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 all this shit. And then he blocked me and so on and so forth. And so I have zero respect for Are We Not Men. I find his particular brand or of ortho-broism disturbing. He's not particularly welcome here. He's not unwelcome here. He can come here. He's not particularly welcome to come here. Neither is Jess White. I will not raid Jess White. I think that the fact that she banned or the fact that she allowed Are We Not Men to demod all of the mods that help her build her channel is bullshit. It's none of my business, obviously, but it's bullshit. And the things that she's personally said to me it's inexcusable from one content creator to the other, unless and also not trying to really work it out. So I don't have any time for that. I have talked to Mr. E about everybody that. So anytime people say this bullshit, right? Well, you can't have Imperious here. You can't have EB3 here. You can't have this guy here. You can't have that guy here. There'll be Andrew's not going to like this. I will literally pick up the phone and call Andrew. I will call Mr. E. I will literally I will message him right that moment and say, hey, dude, do you have a problem with this? And a lot of times Mr. E will be like, yeah, I don't like that guy. I wish you would not platform him, but whatever. It's your channel. You do what you do.
Well, and I think this is that step right there, or even the one that you took in addressing the scenario live as you saw it. That's the part that I think people could learn from, because to have the courage to stand up in that moment and say, look, this is what's happening, and take it to this individual and say, what are your thoughts on this? I don't think there's a much more effective way you can deal with it than shining light on some of that behavior. It seems to terminate it pretty quickly. Sometimes we're encouraged, and even in corporations or in jobs we work with, are encouraged to keep these things under the, private in the back room. And there are reasons for doing that. But in this case, I think shining light on that behavior is a positive thing, but also risky. So that's why I'm reinforcing it now.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I mean, one of the now you do have to understand that, like, I don't have Imperious up anymore because I can't know if he's going to break TOS. I know that he doesn't respect TOS. And so there's no, I don't have faith that he wouldn't just lose his temper and burn things down. I dislike EB3 myself. As a matter of fact, the more he talks, the less I like him. But I can still be on a stage with him. I can still chat with him. I can still, debate. We debated the other day. He lost, but there's, I don't have a problem with that, right? Imperious, I mean, I don't think you're wrong. I don't think you're wrong about that, but I do think this. I think you're missing a point, Imperious. It's not just the nerd losers who want to be relevant, which I can see you saying that about Are We Not Men, right? Like, he's the kind of guy who's just kind of a, he wants desperately to be associated with the content creators, and this is how he does that, and he just takes it too far. That's what I see. I don't agree with Imperious's standpoint there 100%, but I don't disagree, or I don't have an issue with him. So, but again, Imperious, it's Glenn. I don't know what happened with Glenn. I can ask you. I mean, he was here earlier, but the reality is that Glenn may not trust you not to spurg out, right? Like, if the only way that and I would tell Glenn this if he asked me, he won't, because he's a grown ass man and he does what he wants to do. But if he were to ask me about having you and debate him on polygamy or something like that, or just have a conversation about it, I would tell him that to pre-record it so he can literally cut out if you violate TOS. That's what I would say do, right? Obviously the problem with that is that people will say that Glenn edited it or something like that. So I don't know that there's a win there for Imperious. It's fine, whatever. So
hey, with that grid, I'm going to say I've said my piece. So thanks for having me up, man.
Okay.
I appreciate
I appreciate you. I appreciate you asking me about it. I appreciate you talking to me about it, and taking some time to do so, because it's been a couple of weeks since you initially reached out to me. So I apologize. I've been busy. I think we just kind of missed each other here and there, and that's no problem. I do want you to understand that I don't actually take a lot of what happens on YouTube personally, right? Like I don't. Once I walk out that door, this is all irrelevant, right? It's not real world. What I do, the only thing I take really relevant, I think this is something to think about too, old Joe, is I don't take it. The only thing I take with any grain of salt is if there's a TOS thread or something like that. I see what goes on with Flow State and some others where they're constantly trying to save their channels or whatever, and I don't want to. I prefer not to do that. I prefer to be above board 100%. People can say whatever they want to about me. I don't really care. But I also, I don't know how to put this. Like a lot of what I do, especially any kind of I don't have any actual anger towards Imperius. I never have, right? Like I don't. It's a programmed response based upon the stimulus, right? Like Imperius does TOS, we respond, and that's it, right? Once it's over, I don't care. I'm not mad at Imperius. I have no ill will towards Imperius. I just can't trust him to come up live, right? Does that make sense?
It does, and I think what you speak about treating this as a place where we come for entertainment and not bringing this stuff into your personal lives. There are a lot of people for whom this place is the majority of their social life as well. I don't think that's healthy either.
Well, they make it their reality, Joe. They make it their
exactly.
reality. And so this is not my reality, right? Like while I have personal relationships with some people, right? Because I've met them, or I'm willing to talk about really real things on the internet. I'm perfectly willing to talk about that. But I'm not anyone's dad. I can't guide you, right? Like even EB3, he is such a weird dude, and I just don't care. I think that at the end of the day, I think that's the best way I can put it. I just don't care. And he can say whatever he wants to say. He can make all the videos he wants. He can do whatever. Same thing with Just White. I don't care. The only if just it's offensive and rude when someone comes into your chat and starts running their mouth, right? And those people deserve to be removed. And I can make light of it. I can make fun of it. I can act angry. I can act however I want. But again, as soon as the camera turns off, it's all irrelevant, right? And so matter of fact, I can't think of anybody that I truly dislike other than the only problem I have with Are We Not Men is he keeps bringing what happens online into the real world. I was on the line when he called Glenn Lawrence, worried about the receipts that Glenn Lawrence and I had of their misbehavior. And he threatened Glenn Lawrence, and Glenn Lawrence said, "You will not say that to my face, I promise you." And Are We Not Men said, "Yeah, I will." And Glenn's like, "Well, I'm back in town. Because they both live in LA. I'll wait here." Glenn was so sure that he would not, that Are We Not Men would not make it. He said, "I have $1,000 here." He says, "You will not come and say that shit in front of my face right now." And obviously, Are We Not Men did not. So, that's somebody that's trying to take what happens online and personalize it to the point that they can't separate online versus real world.
Yeah, that becomes dangerous in a
Problematic.
bunch of ways. And you mentioned something about removing people from chat who are in your chat and are problematic. And I know that there are certain content creators that struggle with this concept because a lot of them in our sector, from what I understand, there's these sectors that I'm not quite aware of. But a lot of the people that are in the same circles as I run in seem to really value free speech and feel like they've almost betrayed that value if they ban somebody out of their chat. I myself think it's perfectly reasonable. Like this isn't a free speech, me coming to Grid's platform. although I should expect some measure of being able to express myself. I
Mhm.
think that the channels that I have seen that have been absolutely unwilling to block or ban bad actors tend to deteriorate fairly quickly, and the productive conversations come to an end eventually, and it becomes a place with a different culture, in my
Yeah.
opinion.
Well, I mean, personally, it's just my personal thing. I know, look, everybody's a little different. Personally, I don't care. I think the chat should be interesting. The only person right now that's banned is Jack. I think we might be close to banning somebody else. I'd have to remember, but the only one I know for sure 100% is banned is Jack. And that's because he said some extremely hateful things about Glenn Lawrence, Andrew Wilson, and myself. Things that were not true and that he just basically made up. And I just, but other than that, Imperius is out in the chat right now. Now, as long as he doesn't get near violating TOS, he can sit out there. He can rage, he can yell, he can scream, he can do whatever he wants. And I don't care, right? So
Hey, right on, Grid. I have to go get some stuff done, but like
yeah,
I say,
you
thanks for having me
go
up
have
the
a rest
last
of your
time.
day. I appreciate that. I agree. Jack does have mental issues. That's true. And Tim
Okay.
Hale, if you shit your own pants, to show me up, that's a weird flex, my friend. It's a weird flex. So we're right at the 3-hour mark, and I'm about to head out. I may go to the lake tonight. I don't know. We'll see. Who tried to dox Andrew in the chat? I missed that. Ladies and gentlemen, as always, it is my pleasure. Powder Dusty, you've already shit your pants. That's not a bonus. That's not a bonus for you to do it. Dusty, are you live right now? Who's live? You send you folks somewhere. You're not live. Oh, Flo, are you out of trouble yet? Oh, you just woke up. All right, that's fine. That's cool. Got to deport the chat. That's right. I'm loading you all into trailers, and we're deporting you. Railway cars. I need railway cars. I need railway cars stat. There's nobody who's live. Anybody got anybody live? Who's live? I don't see anybody live. Somebody help me out here. What's up? Got anything? What's up, Romano Productions? I didn't see you come in. Chris Lestrange is live. He's not showing up in my feed. What's up with that? What is up? Nobody's on. I want to really thank everyone for coming out today. It's pretty. It's been a pretty good show today. Even though we talked about some pretty kind of dry stuff with all the business stuff. I hope everybody enjoyed that. And if you want more of that, let me know. Send me, make comments down below. Do all of the comment things because I will actually take a look at it, and that will help out a lot. I promise I'll take a look at it, and we will at some point we'll get some stuff going on. I got to start giving away stuff as well, so we'll do that. Let's see. I don't see Chris Lestrange live anywhere. So let me yeah, he's live. All right, I found it. Got it. I don't know why it was so hard to find that. What the hell, man? All right, you guys, you are going to Chris Lestrange. Enjoy the rest of your day. I'm going to go hit the boat. I might pop on some streams tonight. I might show up over at the Raging Tomato later. Tim Hale, criminally funny. Good to see you, buddy. Glad to have you in the chat for just those few minutes. Good to see everybody. Glad everyone made it out today. Please like, subscribe, and leave comments below. Tell me what you liked about the show, what you didn't. If you have a question, please feel free to ask. And in the meantime, as always, be cool. Wear glasses if you need them. They're important. And go hang out on